Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well, my friends from around the world. If you're new here, we're honored to have you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tonight, I can tell the world that the strikes were a stunning military success. Israel is surrounded, and this might be the most dangerous moment in modern history. Every day of war, Israel's missile defense system burns through $200 million. But it's not just money going up in flames. Critical stockpiles of ballistic missiles and survival weapons are depleting fast. Iran's missile rain is causing panic, and an extreme move has dragged the U.S. directly into the war zone. Washington responded saying Iran's nuclear facilities have been hit, but the real question is, was this just a regional escalation? Or is it the beginning of something much bigger? Why does this matter? Because if nuclear weapons are truly being activated, this conflict isn't just about Jerusalem, Gaza, or Tehran anymore. It's about all of us. One explosion could wipe out an entire city. One decision could cost millions of lives. And silently, the world could be heading into World War III with no way to back out. But this attack didn't come out of nowhere. It all started with a harsh warning from Washington and a firm rejection from Tehran. The rest? It's the road to all-out war. The threat came directly from President Donald Trump. In a firm tone, he demanded Iran's unconditional surrender, warning that America's patience had run out. But Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, shot back tensely. If the U.S. attacks, they'll face consequences they can't undo. Iran didn't back down, and Trump wasn't bluffing. The U.S. responded immediately with real military power. THAAD missile defense systems were deployed in Israel to intercept waves of missiles from Iran and its allies. The USS Nimitz aircraft carrier joined the fleet in the Red Sea. Around 30 stealth F-35 fighters were put on high alert at a U.S. base in the Tilo region. As the attacks continued, political pressure, public opinion, and military calculations on both sides led to one major decision. The U.S. officially entered the conflict. The first target, Iran's nuclear program. Three key sites, Fordow, Isfahan, and Natanz, were hit in what was called Operation Midnight Hammer. The United States deployed 125 aircraft, including B-2 Spirit stealth bombers flying in the dark, carrying 6 GBU-57 bunker-buster bombs dropped on Iran's strategic sites. Over 30 Tomahawk missiles were also launched, striking critical facilities. But this wasn't just a military strike, it was a loud message. The United States is no longer watching from the sidelines. The world is now entering a new era, where the line between threats and destruction is getting blurrier by the day. Again, the U.S. strike on Iran's nuclear facilities didn't happen randomly. This was a long-time dream of Israel finally coming true. The primary target, Fordow, Iran's most secret uranium enrichment site, buried deep under the mountains, heavily guarded, and believed to be the heart of Iran's nuclear program. There's only one known way to destroy it, the GBU-57, America's deepest penetrating bunker buster. Only the United States has it. Israel knows this, and needs the U.S. to use it. So how do you convince America to push the button? This is where shadow tactics come into play. Intelligence sources claim Israel is running a false flag operation, an old trick in the world of espionage, where one side disguises itself as another. The supposed target? The U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv? Allegedly, this attack is being framed as an Iranian strike. The narrative is being built. American public opinion is being steered. Because when U.S. citizens believe their soil has been attacked, it becomes easier to justify war. But this tactic isn't just manipulative, it's dangerous. One wrong move could ignite a global war that can't be stopped. And worse, we might never even know who fired the first shot. After Iran's three major nuclear sites, Fordow, Isfahan, and Natanz, were hit, Iran didn't stay silent. It officially declared war on the naval front. Iran has multiple ways to hit back at American warships sailing through the Gulf. They could be targeted with anti-ship missiles or kamikaze drones. U.S. forces stationed in the Gulf are also within direct strike range. But perhaps the most strategic move Iran could make is to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, the lifeline of global oil exports. If that happens, global energy prices would skyrocket and an international energy crisis would become unavoidable. Iran has already proven military success by taking down numerous U.S. and Israeli aircraft and drones, from Hermes 900s to F-35Is. That shows the skies over Iran are far from safe, and for America, the real threat might be much closer than it thinks. Iran has long-range ballistic missiles, including some that can reach U.S. cities. If even one of them is equipped with a nuclear warhead, New York could be next. But Iran isn't relying only on traditional firepower. Its regional proxies are already on the move. Houthis, for example, are openly targeting Israel, and the whole world is watching with eyes wide open. Iran immediately called for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council to stop the U.S. attack. But on a much deeper level, Iran is now seriously considering pulling out of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. If that happens, the world would lose all access to international oversight of Iran's nuclear program. No more inspections, no more limits on uranium enrichment. Iran would legally and openly be able to develop nuclear weapons without being labeled a violator. The United States strike on Iran's nuclear facilities shook the world. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu couldn't hide his excitement. He congratulated Donald Trump, calling it a bold step for global security. From London, the British Prime Minister also backed the move, calling the United States action a crucial step to stop the Iranian nuclear threat. But not everyone agreed. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres expressed deep concern, warning this was a dangerous escalation in an already fragile region. He called it a direct threat to international peace and security. From Tehran, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi strongly condemned the United States' actions, calling them a clear violation of international law, and a move that destroyed the path of diplomacy. "We've never abandoned diplomacy," he said, but today, the United States is blowing it up completely. The world is now split between those who see war as a solution and those who understand that in a nuclear war, there are no winners. This is no longer a local conflict. Russia has entered the conversation. President Vladimir Putin personally contacted Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to demand the safety of Russian personnel working on 2 nuclear reactors in Iran. At the same time, Putin sent a strong protest to Trump, warning that if Russia isn't given clear guarantees, then the United States strike would be considered a violation of a secret agreement made behind closed doors. Meanwhile, China made a quiet move of its own. Reports claim 2 Chinese Navy electronic surveillance ships, the Type 855 and 815A, have entered the Persian Gulf. These aren't ordinary warships. They monitor communications, track the flow of conflict, and gather signals. Beijing is watching closely. With 2 global superpowers now taking this crisis seriously, the world has begun using a phrase that once only appeared in history books: World War III. But 2 paths still exist: escalation or de-escalation. If the United States continues its attacks and Iran pulls out of the nuclear deal, its regional proxies could go all in, and Russia and China may step in directly. If that happens, the road to escalation is wide open. But if diplomacy is strengthened, even through global pressure and bitter compromises, there's still a small chance the world could pull back from the edge. The question now is, who will pull the trigger when all the guns are aimed?